Hello, viewer. It's come to my attention that what we have laughingly been calling the writer's shed could do with some help. The far end of it, it's missing a lot of tiles. The wood is starting to fall out. It's going to fall down soonish. So today's task, I'll put a piece of membrane down here, which will have dual purpose. A, it'll stop the weeds growing, hopefully, and B, it'll give me somewhere to put all of the material that I harvest to try and keep dry, to reuse, whatever. So I'll take off the tiles, put that down, then start stripping the wood and put that down, and ultimately I'll end up, hopefully, with just a flat pad of either concrete or cobblestones or whatever's inside there, which we can then use to start building up from. Now, if the concrete pad needs to be replaced, it needs to be replaced, fine. But at the very first, it's just a case of get it all off, dismantle it, get it all over here. That's the task for today. As usual, I'm heating up already, so time to shed a layer. Did I mention I'm unfit? I'm going to have a pile of wood which I'm going to use, and a pile of wood for burning, because quite a lot of this has started to rot already and it's no use to use. I'm not going to be frying anything in this over an electric hob. It's got a hole right through it. That's relatively efficient. Still got a microphone, yes. Now there's an issue. Because there's still tiles on the other side, and that's a fair amount of weight, and at the ridge post, at the very, very top there, you've got all of the rafters which come up like that. Now, if I take away all of the rafters on this side, and you've got weight on the other side, so I'm going to leave a few of the rafters there and go and take the tiles off the other side first before I continue removing woodwork. As you can see here, the side wall isn't quite perpendicular anymore. In fact, not much of this shed is perpendicular. This is the wall that's facing the field. So there's the farmer's field, which has previously had, I've got a thorn stuck in my arm, has previously had maize and other interesting plants. And this colombage wall at the end here had, the previous person had put up a couple of corrugated iron sheets. But it didn't really stop the winds and the rain just driving in and rotting the entire end here. So lots of wood on the floor. This is a principal joist that holds the whole thing together. And you can see it's just falling apart. Now, getting those tiles off with all of the brambles on there, that's going to be a challenge. Now, there was somebody who left a comment saying that they didn't like watching me sweep up, which is entirely fair because it's not exciting. But if I don't do some tidying up as I go along, I guarantee you I'm going to trip over this lot and do myself a mischief. Look at this. It jumped at me. I did nothing. Somewhere up on Mount Olympus, there is a god of mischief who's having a good old chuckle at me. Right. Don't need this yet. You can see here the bottom is missing where the freeze-thaw cycle for the rain. So the rain comes down, soaks into that terracotta, freezes, expands, cracks it, lamination comes apart. Tiles are good for nothing. That all is leaning that way, so if I put the ladder up against it, at worst it's not going to fall against me, it's trying to fall into the house. To say this house is past its best is an understatement. House, outbuilding, whatever. As I say, the gods of mischief are at me again. if it wasn't for the woodworm, this would be nice oak. Sometimes there's a bit of a warp in your pieces of wood. Yeah, it's moved a bit. Now this piece is very heavy in comparison to the others, and it doesn't look like there's any woodworm in it. So I'm going to take this piece home for wood turning. If it's that heavy, it's probably near the core of the tree, so it'll probably be very, very hard, which is a good thing. Well, as you can see, the ridge piece is pivoting on that central piece with the two diagonal braces. There's one diagonal brace at this end, but it's not resting on anything. I'm very tempted to just push it, let it fall over. I mean, the more I look at this, there's just so much water has got into these timbers. I had hoped that I was just going to dismantle it, put a new base there and rebuild it. But I just don't know. These timbers look so shot. Let's carry on. Come and have a look at the other side. As I say, there's only really these three rafters that are holding that top piece in place. It's just pivoting on one central upright, which itself is resting. It's resting on a beam which is going from this wall plate to the other wall plate. So it could quite happily, that upright at the very top, quite happily just break off. There's a peg holding it in place, which maybe I could get in there and knock it out, but the mortise that it goes into will almost certainly be stopping it from going side to side anyway. So if I try and push it, the mortise is holding it in place even if the peg's in there or not. So screw it, let's just push it, see if we can get it to fall over. Very satisfying crack. Well, that's the central post that I was saying was over there, that this ridge post was balancing on. As you can see, we've got a peg here, two pegs for the diagonal brace, or braces. So, I mean, this ridge post is so rotted I can't reuse it anyway. The diagonal braces, that one's got a lot of woodworm in it. I mean, this one could be of use at some point, but it's so small, it's just really firewood. Saw. Well, you can see how the pin goes together with the socket very nicely. Now, that ridge beam is too big for my little reciprocating saw to get through, so that'll have to be sawed up with a chainsaw another day. Right, so the rest of the frame, you've got a big post at each of the four corners, doweled, pegged into the wall plate here, and on this side, instead of just being one at each corner, you've also got the central post, which you've got over there on the other side, but on this side you've got two door posts as well. So this one's got 5, the other side's got 3, all with pegs, which means the cross pieces that go over are on top of the wall plate post beam. So you have to take out the pegs and take these cross pieces off first. Now either end you've got an A-frame. So I have to dismantle the A-frames to be able to get to the cross piece. That end is so rotted, it's just got the cross piece. And even that probably isn't hanging on by more than a thread. Okay. This side is absolutely full of these lengths of wood, which you can see the curve to them. And you can see the groove at the top and at the bottom. They're basically a dismantled barrel. So this will be probably oak, which we know burns well. So all of this goes onto my burning pile. And there's also a lot of chicken wire in there, which is really annoying. So I've got to empty that side out first before I can get in there and start attacking the wall plates and stuff. Right, okay. I think that's a little bit too curved. To be honest, it's getting towards the end of the day. Ugh. As per usual, I have a bramble attached to my leg. Let me show you what we've got here before I give up. Right. So as I mentioned, this was a shed in the garden, and they augmented this end of it with corrugated iron. Now the corrugated iron went on the surface to protect the colombage. And this is what colombage is. Colombage is a wood frame structure. So you'll have a top, you'll have the doorposts, corner posts, all held together with pegs. You'll have diagonal braces. You can just see one in there. Then you have an infill, which will be with pieces of wood. Usually they go mortised into the top of these and the bottom rail. And then attached to these internal slats, you've got laths. And then on top of the lath, you have pushed on a mixture of show, lime, and clay and sand, cow poo, straw, I don't know, your favorite jumper. Anything that is spare and left over gets shredded and put into the stuff that goes onto the surface. And the surface is then troweled flat. You can see this is smooth. And the flatness means that the water runs off. Because it is show, it means that the water will come in and come out and dry off and shouldn't just sit in the material and soak into the wood. So this wood has been here for a long, long time. The nails, which are holding the laths in place, the nails have rusted because there's enough water for them to rust. But that stuff, colombage, has been around for centuries, and it lasts for centuries because all you really need to do is, if it starts cracking like this, you just put a bit more stuff on the surface, or hack a bit off if it's crumbly and stuff some fresh on. It's a remarkably sustainable product. In theory, you can hack off this stuff that's here, the clayish mess. You could hack it off, grind it up, add a bit more water and put it straight back on again. So, you know, it's a fantastic product. And as you can see down here, they've put a couple of extra planks over the top to probably protect the colombage, to stop them having to resurface it. But you can see on this end what happens when it starts to fail. So the outside surface has obviously had water come in, freeze, pops the integrity of it, and it falls off over there. So you're left with the internal skin and the packing which goes in between the layers of lath. Up there's good, hurrah. Down here, you've got a hatch. Who knows? But I'm not going to be reinstating the show because the actual wood itself, as you can see from the bottom down there, the floor appears to be a network of stone. And so that's what keeps it away from the wet of the soil. But even so, the bottom of these posts have rotted. And in the case of down here, it's rotted sufficiently that it doesn't actually, you can put your foot underneath it, it doesn't actually touch the stone anymore. So it's all got to go. It's all got to come down. What I could do, and what I sort of planned to do, was to put a concrete slab down, possibly just cobbles on sand or clay, I don't know. We'll put some sort of a floor down which is raised above the ground level so that it doesn't get wet. Then have a dwarf stone wall, which is probably going to be, I don't know, a foot, 18 inches, all the way around it, except for where the doorway is. And that acts as like a barrier between the wet of the ground and the start of the wood. Then you'll have a wood lintel at the bottom, then your uprights, and then the wall plate across the top, as you see here. So you'll have this colombage or wood frame effect above a dwarf wall, and the infill will be similar uprights that you can see here, but they will probably be reused joists that you saw me get out of the main house. So if I can put the fresh uprights in, or recycled uprights in there, then I can get a cement block to put in between the uprights and face it with a lime putty or a lime mortar, so that it looks very much like what you see here in the end. That's kind of my plan. It's very time consuming. It's not as quick as just block and you know, concrete blocks and a render, but I think it's sort of more true to the farm. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm going to put the tools away now, put the ladder away, take my trolley back to the house. This is all of the tiles that we harvested. When I come to dismantle the rest of that, any timber that I can keep that is good, I will put on top of the tiles here to keep the wood away from the soil and the moisture. It will obviously be raining on there, but you know, we're getting towards the end of spring now. In theory, it should be a little dry, but this is Normandy. So that's a review of what we've been up to today, children. Right. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been quite tiring for me to do. Please like and subscribe. And leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this rather odd shed. And if you've got any questions, put the questions in. I'll try and answer those. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.